My name is Eleanor Hargrove, and at 78, I've outlived more than my share of secrets. The world thinks I'm a frail widow, dotting around my creaky Victorian house in Willow Creek like a ghost in lace doilies. My son, Thomas, married Leela 3 years ago, and that's when the cracks started to show. Leela, with her porcelain skin and eyes like polished obsidian, swept in like a summer storm, charming, efficient, the perfect daughter-in-law. She handled my medications with the devotion of a nurse, refilling my pill organizers each Sunday afternoon. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol blockers, a little something for the arthritis that gnawed at my knuckles like a persistent rat. Harmless routines, or so I thought. It began subtly, the way poison always does. One morning, as autumn leaves clawed at the windows like desperate fingers, I woke with a fog in my head thicker than the mist rolling off the creek. Words slipped from my tongue like wet soap, my own name. Once sharp as a hatpin, now a mumbled Ellie. Or was it Etna? Thomas laughed it off at breakfast, patting my hand, aging gracefully. Mom, Leela's got your prescriptions. Sorted. Leela smiled from across the oak table, her teeth gleaming like fresh pearls, and poured me another cup of chamomile tea. Don't worry, Eleanor. I've double-checked everything with the pharmacist. But I wasn't worried. I was watchful. That night, alone in my four-poster bed with its sagging canopy, I palmed the evening dose instead of swallowing it, tucked under my tongue like a contraband cigarette. I spat it into a tissue and hid it in the lining of my jewelry box. The next day, the fog lifted just enough for me to drive to the pharmacy in town. My old Ford rattling like bones in a sack. Dr. Harlan, who'd prescribed my regimen since the Nixon administration, peered over his half-moons at the Pilfered pills. His face tightened like a drawstring purse. These aren't yours, Eleanor. Someone swapped your alprazolam for something stronger, lorazepam, mixed with a sedative cocktail. High doses could induce amnesia, confusion, even hallucinations over time. Hallucinations. The word hung in the air like smoke. Why would anyone want me to forget? I'd always been the keeper of the family ledger, the one who remembered Thomas's childhood fevers, the way his father, God rest him, had hidden his war medals in the attic. Leela, she was an outsider, a graphic designer from the city who'd met Thomas at some art gala. No family scandals on her side that I could unearth, no grudges. But as I gripped the steering wheel on the drive home, a chill slithered down my spine. What if it wasn't about the past? What if it was about the future, the house, the inheritance, the deed to the sprawling relic of land that bordered the creek and whispered of untapped value? I decided then, in the shadow of the weeping willow that guarded our driveway, to play the fool. If Leela wanted a doddering old woman, she'd get one, but I'd be the spider in the web, silent and sticky-fingered, waiting for the fly to tangle itself. The pretending started small. At dinner that evening, I knocked over my water glass, letting it shatter on the tiled floor like brittle bones. Oh dear, oh mercy me, I warbled, my voice pitching high and quavery, eyes wide as saucers. Thomas rushed over, concern etching lines into his handsome face, the same face that mirrored his father's, all earnest brow and kind hazel eyes. Mom, it's okay. Accidents happen. Leela knelt beside me, her slim fingers brushing shards away with practiced grace. Let me help, Eleanor. You're shaking like a leaf. Her touch lingered on my wrist, pulse point thumping under her cool skin. I met her gaze for a split second, mine vacant, hers appraising, a flicker, gone like a match in wind. From there, the performance escalated. I forgot where the silverware drawer was, pawing through the pantry amid canned peaches and dusty spices. I called Thomas Timothy once, twice, then every meal, watching Leela's lips twitch in what might have been amusement or impatience. She took over more grocery lists scrawled in her looping script, my checkbook balanced with her precise figures. You're a godsend, Leela, Thomas would say, kissing her temple as they cleared plates. I'd mumble thanks, shuffling to my armchair by the fireplace, where embers glowed like guilty eyes. But at night, when the house settled into its groans and sighs, I became someone else. The first recording device was a relic from Thomas's boyhood, a clunky cassette recorder I'd found in the attic, Its tape spool's still dusty from the 90s. I wired it crudely to the underside of my nightstand with extension cords snaked under the rug, microphone aimed at the door. Primitive, yes, but effective. The second was better, a nanny cam disguised as a porcelain figurine, a shepherdess with a cracked crook perched on the mantle. I'd ordered it online using the library computer in town, paying cash to a P.O. box under a false name. Birdwatching, I told the clerk when she raised an eyebrow at the shipment. The recordings captured fragments. At first Leela's footsteps padding down the hall past midnight. The soft click of my bedroom door. Whispers too faint to decipher, like wind through keyholes. Then, one stormy Tuesday, the fog I'd faked became perilously real. I'd swallowed half a pill that morning testing the waters, or so I thought, and by afternoon, my limbs felt leaden, thoughts fracturing like ice on the creek. I retreated to my room early, feigning a headache, and that's when the door creaked open. The nanny cam's feed, viewed later on my ancient laptop, showed her silhouette against the hallway light. Leela, in a silk robe the color of midnight, hair loose like raven wings. She moved to my dresser, gloved hands white cotton, surgical, easing open the pill organizer. Click, rustle, the faint glug of liquid from a small amber bottle into the compartments. Not water, something viscous, amber itself, catching the lamplight like trapped honey. She hummed as she worked a tuneless lullaby, or perhaps a dirge. My heart, even in playback, hammered like a trapped bird. "Who are you humming to, dear?" I whispered to the screen, pausing the video. The bottle, she'd left it on the dresser for a heartbeat too long. Label facing the camera. Amnesiac compound X47. For research use only. Not FDA approved. I'd seen enough true crime documentaries to know what that meant. Black market nootropics, or worse. Designer drugs cooked up in some basement lab. Meant to erase memories, layer by layer, until the victim was a blank slate, pliable as clay. But why? The question gnawed at me through sleepless nights. As thunder rattled the panes and rain lashed a roof like accusations, I dug deeper, my senility a perfect cover. While Thomas was at the office, his accounting firm in the next county, over, and Leela ran errands, I'd rifle through her things. Her desk in the guest room yielded little at first. Sketches of modern lofts, color swatches for a renovation project, then buried in a locked drawer picked with a hairpin from my vanity, a trick from my flapper days, a folder labeled Hargrove Estate Assessment, pages from a realtor, valuations soaring into the millions, our rustic home appraised as prime development land, thanks to the creek's ecological appeal and proximity to the new highway spur. A sticky note fluttered out. Phase 1, incapacitate. Phase 2, conservatorship. Phase 3, sell. In Leela's hand, all loops and flourishes. My blood ran cold as ditch water. Conservatorship. Thomas, ever the dutiful son, would sign anything she suggested if I was incompetent, and the money, it would line her pockets while he drowned in grief. Rage boiled in me, slow and volcanic, but I swallowed it like bile. No confrontations yet. Evidence first. I started hiding backups, tapes stashed in the false bottom of my hope chest, videos uploaded to an encrypted cloud under Auntie's quilts. I even enlisted Mabel, my neighbor of 40 years, a retired librarian with a nose for intrigue. Over lemon bars in her sunroom, I played a snippet of the humming, the glug of the vial. Her eyes narrowed behind bifocals. "Poison, Ellie? That's attempted murder. Call the sheriff." "Not yet," I murmured, stirring sugar into my tea until it dissolved like lies. "She's clever. Needs catching in the act." The act came sooner than I dared hope or fear. It was a crisp November evening, the kind where frost etches ferns on the windows, and the air smells of wood smoke and betrayal. Thomas was away on a business trip to Chicago, his flight delayed by snow. Leela suggested a quiet night in, drawing me a bath with lavender salts that steamed like dragon's breath. "Relax, Eleanor. You've seemed so scattered lately." Her voice was honey over gravel. I soaked longer than necessary, ears straining for the floorboard's betrayal. When I emerged, swaddled in a robe, the house was silent save for the tick of the grandfather clock. My pill caddy sat open on the kitchen counter. Evening doze arrayed like soldiers on parade. I palmed the largest, a gel cap swollen with whatever venom she'd brewed, and slipped it into my pocket. Upstairs, I forgot to turn off the nanny cam, its red light winking like a conspirator's eye. She came at 10:30. The storm outside a perfect alibi for creaks and shadows. The door eased open. I lay still, breath shallow, feigning the deep sleep of the adult. The mattress dipped as she sat on the edge, her scent jasmine and something sharper, chemical enveloping me. "Time for your medicine, Eleanor," she whispered, voice a silken thread. Her fingers, ungloved this time, pried at my jaw. I let my mouth slacken, tongue lolling like a dead fish. The pill pressed against my lips, then hesitation. She leaned closer, breath warm on my cheek. "Just a little more, and it'll all fade. The will, the deeds, your meddling memories. Thomas will thank me one day. A fresh start without your ghost haunting us." Her words were a scalpel, slicing through the pretense. I felt the cool tip of the vial against my teeth, not the pill, but the source. Liquid, bitter as gall, trickled onto my tongue. I gagged theatrically, eyes fluttering open in confusion. "Leela, WH what?" She froze, then recovered with a laugh like breaking glass. "Shh, it's just your sedative. Go back to sleep." But her hand trembled as she recapped the bottle, setting it on the nightstand inches from the hidden mic. I waited until her footsteps faded down the hall before springing up. The poison spat into a hidden vial of my own antique perfume bottle from my hope chest. Crystal stopper etched with roses. Heart pounding. I grabbed my phone burner, prepaid, tucked in the mattress springs, and dialed. "Sheriff Boone. It's Eleanor Hargrove. Willow Creek Road. Come quiet. Lights off. Got a snake in the garden." The next hour stretched like taffy, taut and sticky. I shuffled downstairs in my nightgown, the house a labyrinth of shadows. Leela was in the living room, curled on the sofa with a glass of wine, the fire casting her face an infernal glow. She looked up as I entered, surprise flickering. "Eleanor, can't sleep?" I tottered forward, mumbling nonsense, lost my teacup dearie, and accidentally knocked her wine glass to the rug. Crimson bloomed like a wound. "Oh, clumsy me." As she bent to blot it, I slipped the recording device from my robe pocket, a tiny digital one. Voice activated, clipped to the sash, and triggered the playback. Her own words echoed from the speaker, tinny but damning. "Just a little more. Your meddling memories. Thomas will thank me." She straightened like a shot, wine forgotten, eyes widening to black moons. "What is that? Eleanor, turn it off." But I didn't. I let it loop, her confession unfurling like a noose. The front door burst open, then no knock. Just a sheriff and two deputies, boots thudding like judgment on the parquet. Leela whirled, color draining from her face. "What's this?" "Eleanor, tell them it's a mistake." Sheriff Boone, a bear of a man with a mustache like a broom bristle, eyed the scene. "Ma'am, step aside. Mrs. Hargrove called it in." His gaze flicked to me, steady. I'd briefed him earlier, in the pharmacy parking lot, away from prying eyes. Leela's laugh was hysteria's edge. "She's senile, delusional. She doesn't know what she's." I stepped forward then, shedding the daughter like an old skin. My voice, clear as creek water, cut through. "Oh, I know plenty, Leela. Like how you swapped my pills for that amnesia brew. How you plan to declare me incompetent. Sell this house out from under my son." I held up the crystal vial, stopper glinting in the firelight. "And this? Your own poison bottle, straight from the nightstand where you left it. Half your dose still inside, enough to match the residue in my caddy." Her mouth worked like a landed fish. "That's not." I was helping, for her own good. Boone's deputy cuffed her wrists, the click echoing like finality. As they let her out, rain sluicing down her silk blouse, she twisted back, venom in her stare. "You think this ends it, old woman? Thomas will see. He'll choose me." But Thomas arrived the next dawn, flight finally landing. Face ashen as I played the tapes for him in the kitchen. The recordings, the documents, the vial analyzed overnight by the county lab, confirming traces of a Schedule I sedative, procured illegally via dark web drops in the woods behind the creek. His eyes filled, not with tears, but a clarity I'd missed these 3 years. "Mom, how did you?" "Practice, darling," I said, pouring him coffee with steady hands. From watching your father bluff through poker nights. Leela's trial was a quiet affair. 6 months later in the county courthouse, all paneled wood and echoing footsteps, she pled diminished capacity stress. Ambition gone awry, but the jury, farmers and teachers who knew the sting of family betrayal, saw through it. Attempted poisoning, fraud, elder abuse, 10 years minimum. Thomas filed for divorce the day after her sentencing. The papers served in her cell block. As for me, the house stands taller now. Renovations of my designed solar panels on the roof. A library in the attic for Thomas's books. Mabel and I watched a creek from the porch some evenings. Her with her crossword, me with a new hobby. Writing memoirs. Not of ghosts but of spiders who spin their own salvation. And the vial? It sits on my mantle, beside the shepherdess, a crystal sentinel. A reminder that some poisons are meant to be handed back, drop by glittering drop.